Welcome to the Money Tales podcast. I'm Cammie Doder.
And I'm Sandi Bragar.
I can't believe it. We're coming up to the close of 2025. And Sandi and I decided we'd spend a little time with listeners talking about some year-end planning and even planning for the new year.
Yeah, we'll have our own Money Tales conversation today and talk about some of the things that come up as we transition from one year to the next.
It's always that fresh start. I love New Year's resolutions. I love thinking about what I'm going to do differently. And there's always financial things I want to do differently or better or whatnot.
It's a great time of year for that. And then also the reflection on what's happened over the last year and what has happened to our personal finances. What are the decisions that we made that we're really excited about? Which ones did we learn from? What are the money conversations that we had and that we want to continue having as we turn to the new year?
I love it, Sandi. Do you want to kick us off? What's some big picture planning that you're doing?
Yeah, it sort of leaps off of what I was just mentioning before around money conversations. I think at this time of year when we are transitioning between the calendars, it's a really nice time to think about the money conversations that you want to be having but aren't having.
Okay.
So
this is good.
Yeah. So again, start with the reflection. What are the money conversations you had over this last year? What are you excited that you were talking about? And what do you want to be talking about related to money as we move into the new year? And some prompts to help you think about this could be, what is something that's on your mind that you find that you're wondering about from a money perspective or that you'd like to learn about? And Cammie, I think about our conversation with David Ajmi, who went deep in on personal financial education as he was generating more and more financial success. And I thought that he's a great inspiration for learning more about money and having conversations with people that you know who have made money decisions that you're contemplating or might have experience in some of these areas around money that you're not as familiar with. Are great ways to open up your mind to something new and begin your education in those areas.
So David Ajmi, that's funny he brought that up because as he was telling his story about going deep and really understanding investment, really nitty gritty type concepts was really important to him. And I was thinking about myself, and I really like to delegate. I like to understand the big picture. I definitely want to understand what's working. What am I doing? Why am I making the investments I'm making? What are they for? Tying it back to values, how I'm going to use the money, give the money away, etc. But I don't want to go deep. And I love that he did. And it was not necessarily something he initially loved, but he it seemed to really grew to love his knowledge that he was gaining. And I love with clients, one of our passions is educating clients, and we have to educate them to the level they're interested in. We want them to be confident, financially, just really thriving, but some don't want to go into the level of detail like David Ajmi went to.
That's right. It's all about finding that right balance for you and your interests. And this leads me to another prompt for a money conversation around the responsibilities that you're taking related to your personal finances. Are you finding that you're doing too much and you want to delegate those things to others? Yeah. Are you feeling that you've delegated those things to someone else? Maybe it's an advisor, maybe it's a spouse, another family member, but you want to take some of that back, or you want to be more in the loop about what they're doing so you have a little more insight and confidence. I think there's a lot around financial responsibilities that many folks just get into automatic mode with. You come up with a process, you put the process in place, and you don't think about it again.
Right.
This changing of the year is a good time to think through what are the financial responsibilities that you have, how are they being met, and are there any shifts that you want to make?
That's a good one, Sandi. Literally, my husband and I were just talking about this around habits. Habits are great, but habits can also be part of autopilot.
Yep.
And I like the taking stock of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and if it's serving you in the way you want it to serve you, and an opportunity to make changes. I think that's a really important one.
That's right. And opening up the conversation with your spouse, with your partner, mother, brother, whoever it is, can really, really be helpful. I find that with my husband too. We kind of get into our patterns of I do certain things, he does certain things, and I realize I'm doing them and I'm not telling him anymore. And that's not a good thing. So, so we always have to kind of get right back on balance and have more of those money conversations.
Communication. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Another thing to be thinking about in terms of the money conversations that you're having are what are the concerns that you have? What's, maybe something that's been eating away at you from a money perspective that you want to put on the table?
What would be an example?
Yeah. Gosh, I just don't know. Am I saving enough money for retirement? Am I saving too much money? I don't have extra cash left over to go out with my friends. Am I spending too much? Am I spending too little? Anything that might be a concern that's popping up in your mind over and over again, that's likely a sign that there's a money conversation to be had.
It's so important, right? It's telling you, it's in the pit of your stomach, or that's where it sits with me when I have those instances. It really keeps me up at night, 2 a.m. I start thinking about that, whatever it is.
It's a good sign. There's something to talk about.
To do something about it. And a lot of times I make it bigger. I think that's where worry can make some things bigger. And a lot of times once you just get on it, it's like, oh, that wasn't that hard.
That's right. And especially when you get it out of your head, right? And you start talking about it, allows you to see the situation a little bit differently. And you can, in my experience, problem solve much better and come up with a plan.
Yes.
Another thing that the changing from one year to the next brings up, and you alluded to this before with your comment about New Year's resolutions, is really fine-tuning and rethinking your financial vision for yourself and your financial goals to make sure that the vision still makes sense, the goals that you're trying to pursue still make sense, and that nothing has changed that maybe would cause you to want to reconsider them.
So last year, as you reflect on your New Year's resolutions, do you change? Do you want to change anything? Do you want to add anything? Have you already checked off everything you said you would do?
Well, I still have time before the end of the year.
I love it, Sandi. Great point.
I haven't done it for myself personally, but I've been doing it with clients. So always checking in. Client, this is what you told us you were trying to achieve. You wanted to retire by this particular date. We're now a year closer to that date. What's that looking like for you? Is that still the right goal? Has anything shifted for you? Sometimes there's a change in the client's life that causes this conversation, maybe a health change or a lifestyle change or a job change. And we're always wanting to just check in because it's not like you come up with your financial goals or the vision for your future and it's set in stone and it never changes. It does shift, and it's important to make sure that you're understanding what the shifts are and that you're really thinking through and making sure that that the shifts in your visioning and your actions are intentional and are what you're trying to achieve, and so that you're not working on autopilot.
Are there any questions that really resonate with clients that help them get into the things that are shifting that you've asked?
I think at the end of the year, it's always a nice time to have group reflection. As we look over the last year, what are the financial decisions that you made that you're most proud of?
Oh, I'm asking that of our family. This is so good. I like this. I'm going to ask this of my cousin, my husband and my kids, and my cousin.
It's a great question to ask anybody, right? What are you most proud of? What, if anything, has shifted for you? Are there new things that you want to achieve based on this last year and the experiences you have? Are there things that you're no longer interested in because you have just shifted your focus? So maybe taking all those skydiving courses aren't working for you anymore, and you want to write a book instead. Take that time that you're saving from not skydiving and direct it toward a book. And I'm bringing up a conversation that we had with Dr. Claudia Six, who decided to do just that very thing several years back.
Speaking of books and then New Year's resolutions, we have a tradition with my family. over New Year's, we actually write up our New Year's resolutions, and one of our daughters draws this awesome picture, and we actually have it on the wall, and then
Oh,
we
that's
check
so
it off.
great.
It's really, really fun.
An accountability mechanism, it
It
sounds
is
like.
accountability. It's a conversation starter, and it's really fun to talk to people about what you had on there. And then there are some things. I think this year I was supposed to go skateboarding with one of my daughters, and I haven't done it, but I'm sort of like, oh, I still have a month. I could do it. But I was thinking about the book we just read, The 12-Week Year, and I love in that book how it's chunking up the year. So, because one of the challenges is I lost sight of those, even though they are on the wall. You walk by, you don't really notice. And I hope in this coming year to think of 12-week increments. Think about my bigger, what am I trying to achieve in life, and then come up with the goals that help me achieve those, and check in a little bit more frequently, I guess. I'm really looking forward to taking that on.
I like that. I'm glad you brought up that book, which is a gift to us by episode number 250, Mr. 250, Gregory Roll. And it is a really great way of rethinking how you spend your time. And there's some really cool techniques in there. And I do think that they lend themselves to personal finance very well, because it will encourage you to set aside time on your calendar to create tactical things that you want to do on a daily and weekly basis in order to achieve the financial goals that you have. And these financial goals can be the smaller stepping stones to your longer term goals, or they could be some very specific goals that you're trying to achieve in the short term, to maybe increase your education about something, to create a savings goal for yourself for a particular item.
Put your budget together.
So many ways to apply that book. It's a great suggestion, Cammie.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is really helpful to do at the end of the year is just an overall personal financial review. And if you work with a financial advisor, it's great to do the review with them, but you certainly don't need a financial advisor to do the review that I'm talking about. And so there's so many different facets of personal finance. I'm going to rattle off a bunch. There's budgeting and cash flow. There's debt planning, savings and investments, retirement plan, taxes, insurance, estate planning. These are all areas where you could spend some time as 2025 is coming to an end and 2026 is starting, and go through those areas to do a little bit of an audit. Where are you at on a budgeting and cash flow perspective? Are you feeling like you have cash left over at the end of the year? Is it sufficient? Are there things that you could be doing with that excess cash flow in terms of investing? Or are you in a situation where you don't have enough cash and maybe you need to revisit your lifestyle and thinking about debt reduction? On the debt side, what is your debt situation? Do you have a lot of credit card debt? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car loan? Are the interest rates that you have on your loans at the best optimal level? Should you be looking at refinancing any of that debt? Should you be looking at paying any of that debt down sooner than you are, if you have the capacity to do so? Again, trying to take a good view of your financial life so that you have fresh in your mind what's going on, what the different costs and benefits are, and that you're being intentional and not getting stuck in that autopilot mode that we've been talking about through this conversation.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. What a great opportunity. It's a long list. This now can go into your next year's plan. It's not like you have to tackle everything in 1 month. It now tells you the tactics, or at least helps you identify the tactics that lead to the results you're looking for.
That's right. That's right. And I want to talk about taxes for a moment, because I think taxes is an area where there's a lot of opportunity for people, and they don't recognize the opportunity because almost everyone hates taxes. It's complicated. It's costly. But I really think it makes a lot of sense if you don't have a good understanding of your own tax return, what the types of income you're generating are, how they get taxed, same on the deduction side of things, then I think there's a real opportunity to get your arms better around it. And I'm not suggesting that you become a certified public accountant.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you do this? How do you put your arms around it?
So sit down with your tax preparer if you have one, and ask them to walk you through it to make sure that you understand what's happening. If you don't have a tax preparer, do some online research. Take a look at YouTube. I'm sure there's a lot of videos that could help you walk through and understand. Talk with a friend, learn what they're doing with their taxes and how they understand it, just so you have a good sense of how it all works and whether there's some opportunities for you to take advantage of.
I'm even curious, what do you think about leveraging AI to give you some summaries and perspectives on it?
Absolutely, though I would
caution.
I would not advise anyone to put any of their personal financial details through an AI program, especially a public one. If you're certain that your private information will be safe, that's a different story. But I don't think many people want their personal financial information out there. But certainly using it for generic information and to learn how things work is a great idea. So that's what I think about in terms of the big picture year-end planning. Beyond that, there's very specific tactical planning that people can do at the year end. And as a financial advisor, I have to say this is a very busy time of year because we're always focused on things that have a December 31st deadline, but it's the most fun time of year because that's when we can just take all of the technical knowledge that we know about personal finances and our client situation and try to optimize around that.
Okay, give us some examples.
Okay, so let's talk about the December 31st deadlines. There are many of them. I'm not going to give you a full list, but here's the sorts of things where you have to make a decision and take action if you're going to take action before December 31st. So if there's gifts you want to make, whether they're personal gifts or charitable gifts, if you're making 529 education fund planning contributions for yourself, for your family, or other people, you have until December 31st to complete those. If you're taking capital gains or if you happen to have losses in your investment portfolio and taxable accounts, you have until December 31st to do that for a 2025 taxable event. If you're doing a Roth conversion, that means you're taking money that you have in an IRA and you're paying tax on that balance in order to convert it to a Roth IRA, which is an account where you don't have to pay any tax on it anymore going forward. You have until December 31st. If you're taking itemized deductions, charitable gifts fall into that category. So do paying property taxes, and there's a bunch of other things. You have until December 31st. And if you are 73 years old or older, you must take required minimum distributions from your retirement accounts. There are some exceptions if you're still working, but if you're not working, you have to definitely take those. And you have to get them done before the end of the year. And if you miss the deadline, there is a 25% penalty. So that can be a costly one to miss. So those are just a few of the deadlines, and there are many different considerations that come into play when you're planning your own tactical personal financial moves around those deadlines.
Really important.
But I want to call out charitable giving as an important one because the tax law that was passed over the summer does make changes to a person's ability to make charitable contributions beginning next year. So there's a haircut of 0.5% of your adjusted gross income becomes a hurdle rate in which you can't deduct the charitable gift up to that 0.5% amount, but anything beyond that you can deduct. This year, there's no hurdle. So we're looking at this very closely with clients and helping them determine if it makes sense to accelerate some of their future gifts into the current year, so that they get 100% of the deduction. And you can do that by using something called a donor advised fund, which is sort of like a charitable checking account if you're not familiar with it. When you make a contribution into the donor advised fund, or DAF for short, you get a charitable deduction, and then the money can remain in that account until you're ready to give it to charity.
So important.
That's something that Jerome and I will be doing this year for sure.
Okay.
I like that idea. Another tactical year-end move is taking a look at your health insurance situation. Have you already met your deductible for the year? And if you have, and I see you shaking your head there, Cammie, if you have, you want to do everything you can to accelerate healthcare expenses into the last part of the year.
Yeah, so important.
It's so important, right? And conversely, if you expect to meet the deductible next year, and oftentimes we don't know what our health situation is going to be in the next year, but I'm thinking specifically around women who are pregnant and will be having a baby next year, chances are they're going to meet their healthcare deductible. In that case, you'd want to try to delay some of your healthcare, not the important monthly exams, but if there's anything else that you need to have done, you always want to take advantage of those times when you meet the deductible and load up on medical care then.
I love it.
Not a reason to slow down your medical care if you need it, but if you can kind of optimize around a month or two, that's a really nice financial move. And then also around year end, it's important to think about what are the expected life changes that you have going forward. I talked about maybe having a baby. And also, what are the expected income changes that you expect as you're crossing from one year over to the next? Will you be retiring next year? Do you expect to be changing a job? Will your income level change because you work on commissions and you had to bang out 2025, but you're not expecting as much for 2026. All of that will help you with the planning that you're doing, not only around cash flow, but around some of the tax planning. So if your income is higher this year than next and you're charitably inclined and you want to make some charitable gifts, that strategy of accelerating charitable gifts might make sense to you to optimize that deduction.
So important.
If that's something you're planning on. And one of my favorite year-end tactical moves for clients who have retired is to take a look at their income tax situation. What we find is that in the first several years of retirement, many of our clients are generating capital gain income because they're living off of their portfolios. They're not drawing as much ordinary income anymore. So their tax rates are relatively low. And so that can be a really great time to do some opportunistic Roth IRA conversions. I mentioned the whole idea of the Roth IRA conversion before. Clients in those situations, we work very closely with their tax preparers to figure out what is the ideal amount of IRA if they have IRAs. And if they've just retired, chances are they have an IRA balance from rolling a 401k from their former employer over to their IRA. They could convert a certain amount. And the key there is to take a look at their current tax rate, what they expect their future tax rates to be when they have to start taking those required minimum distributions. And is there a tax rate in between that they could optimize now through a Roth IRA conversion? And oftentimes in those early years of retirement, we find that many of our clients can do successive years of Roth IRA conversions. So that's a fun one.
That is a fun one.
I'm really nerding out on you today, Cammie.
I love it. I love it. So tell us what planning themes are carrying over from this year, 2025, into next, 2026.
Fortunately, there aren't any income tax themes, which is nice. Those of you who pay close attention to taxes know that at the end of 2025, tax rates were meant to increase back up to levels before the first Trump presidency, and the tax change over the summer made those tax rates stick permanently. So no tax changes. So that's a nice thing not to worry about. But some of the themes that we're seeing across our clients are a lot of curiosity about cross-border planning. And we've talked a little bit about this on Money Tales with the move toward a global world, and also some concerns about political affiliations. Some of our clients are wondering and exploring the opportunity to have dual citizenship with other countries. Some are able to do that because they meet certain descendancy rules that allow them to get dual citizenship, usually with certain European countries. In other cases, our clients are taking advantage of investment migration regimes that allow citizens of one country to get a dual citizenship and or residency in another country by making an investment in that foreign country. And so that's been very popular for clients, like I said, who just have some concerns of maybe wanting to step out of the United States for a little while, being able to leave if they felt like they needed or wanted to, and also for clients who have always had a goal of spending retirement or several years of retirement outside of the United States. And that's been really exciting to learn more about. And we've also been getting a lot of questions from clients about whether they should be custodying their assets, their investment assets outside of the United States, so that they could have more global diversification. And when it comes to that question, we're still very bullish on the United States. We think that this is the safest place in the world to keep your assets. And we think that if U.S. financial institutions were in aggregate to become unstable for some unexpected reason, that would likely trickle around the globe. There are a lot of administrative hurdles for keeping money outside of the United States on the tax and reporting side of things. So if you keep money outside of the United States, and if it exceeds $10,000, there's a reporting requirement. If you have even more money, there's a second reporting requirement. The financial institutions, if you keep enough money in them outside of the United States, have to report those assets to the United States. So it can really make your tax situation complicated. And then there's a lot of just complicated income tax considerations beyond the reporting. And then there's also estate planning considerations. If you have significant amount of assets in a foreign country, you may be exposed to whatever that country's estate tax regime is. So things can get pretty complicated. Again, that's our baseline. We don't think that we don't recommend that clients move assets out of the United States, but certainly some of our clients are wanting to do that anyway for their own peace of mind, and we're able to help them with that, which has been really great.
Sandi, these are incredible.
Yeah. And then just quickly, two other themes that we're seeing among our clients. One comes up on Money Tales all the time, which is financial parenting. That is becoming a more and more important focus of our clients. We're seeing it across generations, especially when there's transfer of wealth.
Why don't you define that? What is financial parenting?
Financial parenting. So it's really being intentional about teaching your children what money is and how to use money. And when I say money, it isn't money in that broader Money Tales spectrum. So not only the technical side of money, but also the emotional side of money. What are the responsibilities that come with money? How should you be thinking about spending, about giving, about saving and investing your money? So it really is helping children develop those,
I like that,
all-encompassing money skills so that they have the competencies to be able to make good money decisions on their own as they continue to age and grow up.
Very good.
Those conversations, as I was mentioning, are really important in the context of multi-generational wealth, because it can be very difficult for people who have created wealth in their lifetimes to then share knowledge about that wealth with the rising generations of their family, because they themselves haven't grown up in wealth. And there's a lot
we hear
we're
that
talking
a lot
about on Money Tales about money being a taboo. Mm-hmm. This can be really, really difficult conversations, but they're so important.
Yeah.
And there's some really great strategies for having those conversations. And just like any other money conversation, they're not ones that need to happen all at one time. They can be staged in, and they don't require a full sharing of all the details of your financial life. The way we really encourage our clients to think about it is framing the conversation around what are the skills and competencies around money that you want your children to have? When do you want them to have those skills and competencies? And how do we work backwards from there to help develop those skills and competencies?
So important. And I love what you're talking about, connecting to their own values around what
values,
is money and
goals.
for. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much we can be doing through the conversations we're having and the modeling that we do around how we use money and what we do with it, that it can make a very big positive imprint on the rising generations of our family. And when I say children, they might be your own children. It could be other younger family members that you care about. It could be the children of friends of yours. But I think we all have a lot of responsibility to raise the young rising generations to make sure that they have a good grasp on their financial lives. And then finally, the last theme is also one that is becoming more and more prevalent in our clients' lives, which is philanthropic planning. And I don't mean just writing a check to charity. I mean really thinking through what is the philanthropic strategy that the person, the couple, the family want to pursue? What is the mission? What is the best way for them to accomplish that? What assets are they using to fund their philanthropic giving? How are they making the gifts? Are they making a one-time large gift? Are they making smaller gifts over time? Are they investing in research to try to create a solution to a problem? Are they investing in efforts to try to change a system that's not working? There's so many incredible things that our clients are doing on the philanthropic side of society that makes me really proud and gets me really excited. And that's a really big planning conversation that carries over from year to year.
Sandi, this has been incredible. I see this big spider web of ideas, and it can feel overwhelming when you go through it, but I also think of this as an opportunity to prioritize, decide what's important to you. I love some of the initial just kind of financial review, check. And then, like I said, dive into the stuff that really has the most impact on your values and what's important to you and your family.
That's right. Chunk it up, prioritize,
chip away,
and have fun. This should be fun. And if you don't find it fun,
and talk about it.
Find someone to work with and talk about it with that can help you make it fun and help make you feel confident and productive. That's really what this is all about, feeling really good about the money decisions that you're making and why you're making them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for sharing all those. And for listeners, always feel comfortable. You can email us at podcasts@Asperient.com. And if you have specific questions you want to make sure we cover in these conversations, let us know.
That's right. Happy holidays.
Thanks for listening to the Money Tales podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you think would benefit from listening. And leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Your ratings and reviews help more people find our podcast. If you're inspired to gain clarity and peace of mind about financial matters, don't hesitate to reach out to our team at Asperient. Go to asperient.com/start a dialogue. Or you can email Sandi and me at podcasts@Asperient.com. See you next time.